Welcome back to Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom White, joined by my co-host Kevin Hinks. But let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment, and that's going to be Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you, Tom. Good to be here. Hey, Kevin.
All right, so we're talking booze, we're talking Constellation brands. We're heading right into dry, or as I like to put it, damp January, where you don't have to completely stop drinking. But we're talking beer. Basically, Constellation Brands has wines, they have a liquor, but at the same time, beer is what they're known for. We just got done with the World Cup, probably a boost. The holidays also. What kind of data are you guys seeing out of Constellation?
Yeah, you're right. They're about 80% beer, about 20% wine when it comes to sales. And when you compare them across their competitors, they're falling behind a little bit, frankly. Budweiser or Anheuser-Busch, is actually the dominant one over the last 3 months or so, as far as our data is concerned. But when you look at Constellation Brands, you can see that just overall their mentions are down. When we look at all of their brands, we kind of aggregate them at the company level, and it goes through some peaks and valleys. But overall, the mentions are down a little bit, as is the stock price. And you can see actually the stock price is that gray line there. You can see we've been in a bit of a channel from around 220 to 260 or so for quite a while, at least about 9 months or so. We're getting towards the lower end of that. I think we're around 235 or so right now, with earnings coming up in a couple of days. And what we're seeing is that the data is just not really supportive of a strong earnings report coming out. We don't think it's going to be like disgusting and nasty and sell off, anything like that. I think they've got a pretty tight range of expectations, and we think they're going to be within that tight range. But we think they're probably on a little bit of the lower end. When we look at just beer sales in general, if you go across their brands, actually, Modelo and Pacifico are doing really well. Corona's not doing well. Just over the last little bit, it's pulled back a little bit, and you can see here, and maybe this has something to do with the World Cup, I'm not sure, but just over the last little bit, you can see the pullback, and Corona is one of their bigger brands, so this is that's what's pulling back our data. The other side to this is that they've got the happiest customers of all of the major beer manufacturers. They're at 79% happy. If you guys remember yesterday, we were talking about Southwest. I think they were in the 30s. So people like to drink more than they like to fly or get delayed on flights. Yeah, they've got the happiest customers. I think that probably has something to do with the fact that they've got a wider variety of products. They've got the finer wines, which are going to increase, going to have a little bit happier customer. But overall, when we're looking at Constellation Brands, it's on the lower end of this channel, and I think that's where it should be. If I'm considering going long-term on this company, which I do like them long-term, I'm probably going to wait until after this earnings report. I don't think they're going to come out gangbusters and blow it out and take off. I don't think the stock's going to take off on this earnings report. So I'd probably wait, maybe try to pick up shares closer to the bottom of this channel that we've been looking at, closer to 220.
Landon, country western song by Thomas Rhett says it ain't nothing that a beer can't fix, Landon. And this company being driven right now by beer overtaking wine, and these numbers, Modelo is incredibly popular, as your chart shows, but it's Pacifico that's also doing extremely well. Their margins are going up. They're accelerating their market share. This is a company right now being driven by beer. But here's my question to you. Why does an economy shift from beer to wine and back and forth? Because wine is struggling right now and beer is off to the races. Why does LikeFolio think that happens?
I'd say it has to do with just the economy. Like you said, I think when people have less money in their pocket, they're more likely to buy the cheaper stuff. And beer is, as far as all the different spirits go, it's the cheapest of everything. So I think it just makes complete sense, frankly. And when we actually look at it, we look at the trends. One of the things that we see is that on a year-over-year basis, canned beverages, alcoholic beverages, are up about 19%, whereas hard seltzers are down about 26%. So, for a long time there was that crave, the White Claw, Truly, all of that. And I think it's starting to look more like a fad, not like it doesn't have the same staying power that the traditional beers have. So I think that, that puts Constellation Brands in a good position. They do have some hard seltzers, but just kind of wanted to note that as well, because I think it just kind of is people going back to the roots, right, of what they like to drink. So I think, beer is the winner here, just like you said.
Yeah, and I think I kind of want to expand on that a little bit, Landon. This is a fickle type of consumer product, right? Seems like nobody knew about Modelo 5 years ago. Now everybody's drinking it, right? Everybody was drinking Corona 5 years ago. So it's that mentality. When you look at your data here, are we just maybe 6 months away from everybody going away from beer and Modelo and switching to another brand that maybe has a better marketing plan? Does your data ever reflect that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And that's, I think, one of the strengths of this company is that they're somewhat diversified, right? They've got several different brands where if one's falling out of favor, the other one can pick up the slack. So I do like that quite a bit. They're not the tried and true, Budweiser, but they do have the different ones, just like you talked about. So I like that. They're also the top importer. I mean, they are #1 market share. They're 54% of market share. #2 is 22%, Heineken. So they are by far the biggest importer, beer. So, but to answer your question more specifically, yes, I do think that having a diversified set of products is going to help them, because it does ebb and flow. You've got the Coke and Pepsi of the world being Budweiser, but everyone wants to be them, but until you are, you've just got to hope that your products are popular, and they're not all going to be popular at the same time. Right now, what we're seeing is a shift away from Corona into Modelo and Pacifico within the Constellation brands, and I think it's good for the company that they've got that ability to move customers from one segment to the other, or one product to the other, and not just get killed and have all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah, historically they've been pretty good on the M&A front too, buying brands that are starting to look up. But Landon, do you have an earnings score for this one going into the report?
Yeah, so we're at -17, which is right on the edge of where you might take a bearish bet. More aggressive LikeFolio subscribers would say that's good enough for me, and they're going to take a bearish bet. More conservatives would be like, maybe not. So it's right on the edge there. But again, I think this is a good company long term. If I'm thinking about picking up shares, I'm waiting until after the report. Incidentally, Bud right now, ticker BUD, is a +40. So there's always a pair trade option there. They're the one that we see dominating this market right now.
Budweiser or Modelo? I'll take Modelo Pacifico any day on that one.
I'll tell you what, you want to make my mother-in-law happy? Ruffino Chianti. And stop, go no further. And that's made by Constellation Brands. So, yeah, that's their brand.
All right, Landon, appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking down the data for us on STZ.